Welcome to the Vision Podcast, brought to you by our Vision Caribbean and Latino Film Festival. On today's show, Dance Group PMPT with your host, Charles Aline.
So everyone, welcome to our show. Today we have a dance group from Panama. They're going to introduce yourself. And this is the Vision Podcast with me, Charles Aline. And we are sponsored by the All Vision Caribbean and Latino Film Festival, which will be held April the 19th at Cal State Dominguez Hills. All right, guys, welcome. And I want you guys to introduce yourself one by one, and then we get to talking about your group, your dance group, why you got started, and what you want to say about your group. Welcome.
I'm Laura, or also known as Laura Echevers. I was born and raised in Panama City. I I'm a co-director of the group along with Joaquin, and I have always been interested in dance, different types of dance. That's why I started dancing in Panama many years ago. So I moved to Los Angeles in 2000. After that, I joined another Panamanian group until Joaquin decided to start our own project. So he called me, and it's been since 2018, and it's been a great experience for us. And I'm very, very glad I'm here. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Uh,
Thank you.
Joyce?
My name is Joyce Hernandez, and I am, I guess, social media manager and jack of all trades, kind of do the behind the scenes, whatever it's needed with the group. Um, my family migrated here in the late 80s when we had some US occupation in Panama. And for the most part, here I didn't get involved into folklore or any aspect of that until my younger sister, who's also a group member, she's also one of the dancers. She got involved with the same group that Laura used to be in. She danced with that group for a little bit, and that's when I kind of got started getting involved a little bit. I met Joaquin, I met Laura, and a few other people. And I would participate mainly just when my sister was in some of the events. And then one day I was talking to Joaquin, and he kept talking about wanting to start his own group. And I was like, well, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's get started. And he had already been thinking about that idea for years. So it was more of a finally, I think we all just came together and said, okay, it's time. And here we are. And now it's a reality. And I think at least for myself, it's given me an opportunity to learn, because when I came here from Panama, I was a teenager. I was 12 or 13, going on 13. And even though I knew some history of Panama and some of the folklore, it hasn't been until now that I'm in the group that I've learned so much more about my own history, my own traditions, my own culture, and every opportunity, every chance that I've had just to learn, it's been a growing experience for me. And I love it. I want that for other Panamanians who left the homeland when they were young and they're not involved, to just, I think, see it and appreciate it, because when you're far away from your people and you're especially here in LA, where there's so many different cultures and so many different groups, it's easy to kind of lose your identity. And so for me particularly, being part of the group and participating, I think, especially as we've grown and participated in more events, it's become about showing to other people, and specifically to Panamanians, like, get connected with your roots, learn to appreciate, all that your heritage has to offer. And so that's part of it, what it is for me, and why I love being part of the group and just working towards growing us and making us not just here in California, but outside of California as well. So, and thank you also for inviting us.
You guys are welcome. Okay, well,
Well, Joaquin Wong. How did I start? There's an organization called COFECA, which is the Central American Confederation of Los Angeles, and they called me to be part of it and represent Panama. And like Joyce was saying, our community is so small that in the beginning it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And then I met Joyce and her family, and I was like, we need to have a committee to work for COFECA and get the whole the Panamanian culture organized and represent during the parade. And then I had the pleasure of meeting Laura, and Laura is always, she's so modest. She doesn't say, but she's a professional dancer. She danced with what was it, Laura, in Panama, the university?
No, it was the Ballet Folclórico Nacional, the National Folclórico group. Yeah,
Yeah,
at the time.
that's really big. So I was like, Laura, we're always like searching for people to like dance and this and that and blah blah blah. And then Carla is also a dancer, and I said we do have enough people to create our dance group, and we started with like three couples, was it? And now we have officially six, and we are growing, and like Joyce said it before, it's just something really cool to represent your culture, especially here in Los Angeles, where Mexican culture is so big. And after that is El Salvador, and then after that is Guatemala, and no one really knows what Panama is. So ever since we've been showcasing who we are and what we do, people are knowing about Panama and what we do and the richness that our culture has to offer. So yeah, it's been a nice little journey, and we hope to continue and become even bigger as time passes.
Okay, cool. So what I like to talk about right now, you stated, Joaquin, that you guys started in was it called Kofa or something like that?
Ofeka.
And and from there you started the group. Was that in what year did you guys start it? And give me the origin of the name of the group, how you got to calling yourself. Um, I know the initial is PM, TM. I don't know if I got that right.
PT.
Yeah, PT. Yeah,
PMPT.
yeah, right.
We have
So,
we
what does
have
those initials stands for? And just give me the origin of the
so
whole.
so we have the hardest name to pronounce thanks to Joyce. So I'm gonna let her do that, which I love. I love our name. Even there's a tongue twister for a whole bunch of people. But the reason we started, because honestly, in the beginning, we started as a committee because we had to get together and organize the parade for the Panamanian section. And as we were organizing things, you start discovering that there's more to that. And then we had the organization part ready, but the cultural part was missing. And I think it was and then for that year, Laura danced, right? Laura, we danced before we actually became a group. We got together with some other people, and Laura, again, she's an amazing dancer. She was training everyone. We were working really hard, and we were able to perform and have Panamanian performances on stage. And after that, I said, Laura, we don't have to do this. Like we have the manpower, we have the capacity to create an actual group, and let's do that. And then after that, it was a piece of cake. But before that, when I got together for the committee, I spoke to Joyce and I was like, okay, let's make this happen. Because we need to work to represent our culture. And she just ran with it. And then after that, it's just history. So Joyce, please tell us how you came up with the name.
Um, so Joaquin had been talking about a group for a while, and I remember we talked about, look, so what do we need to do to make it happen? And we talked about how we needed to register it with the state of California, actually register it as an organization. And so we needed a name. And my mom, my sister, and I were at home, and we're like, okay, well, let's think of a name, like what would represent us. And one of the things that became quite clear is that we wanted to represent the three main communities, or I call them the pillars of Panamanian culture, which was our indigenous group, our Afro Panamanian or Antillean group, and of course the European influence. And so I knew I wanted the name Panama somewhere in the name. And so we were thinking, well, what represents those groups? What words do we have that represent those words or those groups? And immediately Pollera, which is the national dress, it's the dress that represents Panama, and it's of European descent. That was one. And then we went around like, what other names. We talked about coffee and so many other things, but eventually it landed on Mola. Mola it's an indigenous fabric. It's created by one of our main indigenous groups in Panama. It's a fabric that is known worldwide. Our indigenous people have actually taken other companies to court for trying to take on, like the artistic aspect of that cloth. And it's one of the items in Panama that all Panamanians know what a mola is. They know this is an indigenous fabric. It's created by indigenous people, and it has a certain meaning to it. So we chose the word mola, or I chose the word mola because it represented the indigenous people. We had the word pollera because it speaks of our European ancestry in our clothing. And of course, Panama has, and I'm not saying it just because I'm Panamanian, but we have one of the most beautiful national dresses in the world. It's won multiple awards. It's also one of the most expensive in the world. And, polleras are known worldwide, especially in the cultural world. And so lastly, the word tambor, which is drums. All of our music has drums in it. The majority of it has drums in it. And that speaks to the African heritage in the Panamanian folklore. So our name, Panama, Mola, Pollera, y Tambor, it's specific to the three founding pillars of Panamanian folklore, which is the indigenous aspect, the European aspect, and the African aspect of it. And it's a long name. Thankfully it abbreviates well, PMPT. But it is a long name. But I at first I was like, man, maybe it's a little bit too long. But the more I speak of it, the more I say it, the more I like it. And because I know what it means, because I know that we're paying homage to the three main groups in our community, in our society, in Panamanian society, it's become very meaningful to me, and I like it. I like talking about it. I like what it means.
Okay, Joyce. So let me ask you a question. Once you presented the name to the group, how did the group react? Did everyone at the same time say, "Oh, I love this," or did anyone sort of push back and say, "Let's just make this a little simpler so it can roll off the tongue a little easier"? What was the reception in the group to your naming the group that?
Well, at that time we were small, so I called Joaquin and I told Joaquin what it was.
Mhm.
And he was he's still our president or director. And I told him, I'm like, well, this is what we came up with. My mom, my sister, and I were a part of the group. And so he was like, oh, I like it. And at first I thought he was gonna be like, oh no, it's too long, but he liked it. And then from then, uh, we were small enough at that time that it was like we already had a majority. Four of us already liked it. So I think we just, we went along with it, and nobody that I know of, nobody said anything bad about it. We like it, so you know.
And I love the idea just because it represents the three ethnicities of Panamanian culture. And even though Mola it doesn't represent every single group, but the Mola is the one that has been recognized worldwide. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is great. Obviously, we're not saying that this is it for the indigenous people, but at least it represents who we are and and that important group of our culture. So I thought it was a great idea, to be honest. It was great. And then when we have the short version, it just sounds really cool in both
Okay.
languages.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So now once you guys got your name and you're incorporated, what was your first event and how did that go? As you guys as a group, what was your first event and how did you feel performing and did you think it went like really well?
Go with that one.
What was that?
I said, Laura, can you talk about that one? Because that was the meet and greet, remember?
Oh yeah, the meet and
It was
greet.
just
Yeah.
three of us, right?
Yeah, there were three couples, right?
Couples, yeah,
Uh,
three couples. Uh-huh.
yeah, it was an event, meet and greet for the annual week where COFECA celebrates the independence of the Central American countries. And yeah, it was a little bit of a little bit there was a little bit of nervousness in us because it was our first performance. But we did great, and the reception from the attendees was very good. And yeah, from then, yeah, like Joaquin said earlier, the rest is history.
Okay.
It's really humble though, because I remember, so we're performing, it's our first performance on stage, and the anxiety is like up the roof. And I remember that we were dancing, and I'm looking at them perform, and I was like, they look so great that I forgot to turn because I was just, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I
Nice.
remember it
oh,
wasn't
you
that.
guys look, everyone looks so amazing that I just stared like, oh wow. And I completely forgot I was dancing too. So it was funny. But ever since that performance, we have grown so much. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Okay, cool. So my question to you guys, and maybe the person who creates the dance, like when you guys decide, okay, I have a show, um, what's the process? Like, take me through the process of coming up with a dance, and what are you trying to say with that dance, and what's the history of the dance? Like, are you taking some from the European part of you, the African, the indigenous, to tell a story? Like when you guys perform and you're dancing, are you also telling the story within that dance?
You want to take this one, Laura, and then I'll pitch in.
Sure. Yeah, most of our uh, the dances that you'll see Panamanian groups perform, most of them are of European descent, and that's, in my experience, that's what I learned my strongest area in Panamanian dance. Joaquin, if I'm not mistaken, that's also mainly what you've danced before. So we started there, and Panamanian folkloric dances, they're very the choreographies, if you want to call them that, they're very standard, they're very basic. And what normally performance groups do is add formations and different, like a little bit of like a more styling to the dance. And so that's what we normally do. Joaquin and I, we get together and we share our ideas. We put together a modified version of the traditional way in which the dances are originally performed in their own regions of Panama. So uh, pretty much, Joaquin, if you want to add anything.
And then we've done so, like Laura said already. So there, the pretty much the dances are standard, and we will definitely add more to it because we're taking the dances a traditional dance on stage. So it all depends on which region we're gonna represent. That's where you're gonna have more of a African influence or more of a European influence. Obviously, the indigenous dances we haven't performed yet because we need to learn those. Although there is a group in good Lord, where's it, Fontana, right, Laura? Joyce,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's a group in Fontana, and they're specifically learning indigenous dances, and they represent the indigenous culture, which I think it's amazing. But from there, we're definitely trying to stick with what we know to make sure that it's represented well. And that's one thing that our co-director does here. She makes sure that we stick to traditions, even though we're, I guess, spicing it up a little, but we're still the essence of the Panamanian culture still there and it's not going away.
Okay, cool. Well, within those dances, are there a story being told about any specific, like maybe when the Europeans got there, is there a story being told with the dance movement? If you can elaborate, or is it just sort of standard, we're just presenting a certain way how they used to dance in this period of time in Panama?
When
Um,
it comes to the Congo dances, which is the African aspect of Panamanian culture, there is a story. There's a um, when it comes to like the slaves, because people think that the slaves were only here in America. It happened throughout, the world. So we had slaves in Panama, and then of course the Europeans were portrayed as the demons. And I know that Joyce has done a lot of research on that. So Joyce, if you want to add more about it, especially the Diablitos and the Corpus Christi and all the stuff that they do in Panama, and it's specifically to the African influence in Panamanian dances. Joyce.
So for sure, we still need to get a little bit more into that. And we started dancing. We actually just had a performance in February where three of our group members went in Congo attire and they danced a Congo song. Most of our music does tell a story. All of our songs tell a story. And there's also the fact that a lot of our songs are regional. So you have specific dances that are only to be performed in like a salon style kind of dance, like a ballroom dance kind of situation. And then you have songs that were performed by the working class, by the farmers, and that changes the attire that you wear. So in terms of does our music tell a story, the dances that we choose, yes. Like a lot of the times, you know, when we have performances, we have to think about what dances we're going to perform because that also affects how we're going to dress. Because there are certain dances that you cannot dance in like gala, full on gala lux kind of attire. And you have to use a more what we refer to as the working class attire. So in terms of the dances, definitely one of the things that I love when we are deciding on dances or is the stories that are told. Some of them are funny, some of them are tragic. We have this song, it's called I Won, and it's about a party guy. He's just the life of the party. And so that particular song, whenever we perform it, people get really into it because it's really fast paced. And even though the steps are basic, when people see it performed, the music and the words are something that people can relate to. And then we have Joaquin and Laura. When I first met Laura, I met her as a dancer, and I immediately thought, my God, I don't know that I've ever known anyone who dances music, Panamanian music, the way she does. Like I love watching her dance. Um, and when she and Joaquin, there's this song called El Punto, or The Point, which is a ballroom dance. And it's only to be performed in special events, weddings. And it's so it's such a beautiful thing that I always get caught up just staring at them do it because it's so precise. The movements, the hand movements, the way they look at each other. And even though, again, the steps are repetitive, it's so well choreographed, and you can tell it's a refined dance that people love it. We get a request for that dance to most of our events. Anytime we have a wedding, a 15th, we had a 90th birthday, it's a song that people love because I don't know if it's the whimsical aspect of it or what it is, but it definitely is one of those dances that as you're seeing it, even if you don't understand where it comes from or you don't have the background history on it, you can tell that there's a story behind it. So I do um, appreciate the aspect of our dances that there's always a story down to what we wear. There is a story behind every single dance.
That's cool. That's cool. So I remember, Joaquin, when we started the program, you said that the Panamanian community is very small in Southern California. So when you guys got started and you let the community know that there's this Panamanian group, we're doing traditional dances, what was the reception like for you guys within the Panamanian community here in Los Angeles?
So it was positive. People really love what we do to the point that from becoming like, I guess, out of the blue, you have this little group getting together and getting bigger, as time passes. We are proud to say that we represent the House of Panama, which is the first Panamanian museum in California, recognized by both governments, the Panamanian and the US government. And we are the official dance group for the Panamanian Museum. So we've come a long way from just having little events here and there to being part of this museum to opening the um the event to this Panamanian artists that they sing Panamanian traditional music, and almost every single Panamanian in LA was there, and we opened that event. So it's it's a testament to the work that we have put in. We really practice. Like, we put a lot of effort. Our practices are from 2 to 3 hours, like nonstop with 5 minutes break. And everyone who sees our performances, they validate the work that we do. So I say that to say that it's been positive. People have been really welcoming to our group, and everyone, there are times that we have to say, you know what, sir, we can't. We already have a performance. So at one point, Laura, was it last November? We had like five, I don't remember how many performances we were they were requesting for us to go and show up, and we had to say no, right, Laura? If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. November of last year was a busy month. And yeah, there was a point where we were thinking this is too much because, when we practice, we have our members coming from different cities in the county. And it was very time, it was a big effort for everybody. And there was one performance where we said, okay, we need to take a break this weekend. We can't, we shouldn't perform and ask so much from our dancers. We always try to be considerate of other people's time. And there was actually, I forget, maybe like a year and a half ago, we had one day when we went to Fontana to perform for a cultural event. And then we had the same night, we had a party in LA, and we had to run from one to the other. Fortunately, the organizers of both events were aware that there were both events going on the same night. But it was a great night. We did great. It was so much fun. We were people were very welcoming. But yeah, we had times like that, very, very busy days, and they're a gift for us. We're very blessed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So you were saying that now the Panamanian community in LA welcome you guys. They were welcoming to you. And I know that here in Los Angeles, there's a vast community of Hispanics, different cultures, Mexican being the number one group in Southern California. So what was that for you by, other groups welcoming you, and how did they perceive you guys, other um, Hispanic cultures, Latino cultures? What was that interaction with other Spanish cultures like, and how did they embrace the group?
Oh, Joyce, this one's for you, Joyce.
Um, I'm part of COFECA as well, and COFECA
Mhm.
represents 8 countries in total. Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Dominican Republic. And I'm part of the Cultural Commission, and in the Cultural Commission, I have directors of 2 other groups for Honduras and Nicaragua, and also actually 3, El Salvador. And we constantly find each other in a lot of events, community events. And one of the things that always fills me with just a sense of accomplishment and pride is when they tell me, like, you guys are top notch. Like, when you guys show up, people stop. And to hear that from other communities, we take that to heart, and it humbles us, because when we're doing this, we're so focused on making sure that the dances are right, that we look good, and that we're doing what we need to. And I don't think we think too much about, we do, but not to the extent that how everybody's seeing us. And so to hear directors of other groups come to us and tell us, like, you guys are different, you guys are definitely like professional dancers, that's I don't know that there's any other I think the only other feeling that tops that for me is when we've had Panamanians who have, and this has happened, we have a few dancers in the group that they have fans. There are people that they show up to see them dance, and some of the girls and the guys, they know that, like, they have a fan base. There's, oh, we love to see Melissa or Carla or Laura dance because they're so good. Like, and to me, that's just awesome, because when you have, especially some of these older Panamanian ladies who have been around for a long time, and they have seen a lot of, because there's been other folklore groups here, in California, but when you have these ladies come up to us and tell us that we're a higher caliber of dance group, that they're very happy that we're here, that they love to see the girls dance, and then also the response that we've had on social media. I think we have some videos on YouTube that are above 20,000 views. And to me, that just blows my mind. Even on Pinterest, which we have a Pinterest page, and I'm constantly sharing about our clothing, about our dances, about headdresses and all of that. I remember one time I opened the Pinterest page and it said we had something like 210,000 impressions. And I was like I sat there and I was staring at it like I was like, wait, is that correct? Like, are my glasses dirty? Like, what? And I immediately jumped on the chat and I was like, guys, like, check this out. And, you know, when you have that kind of reception from your own people, it definitely, you feel validated. You feel like, wow, like the hard work is paying off. And then it also gives you a sense of pressure, I think, because now you know where you're at. And you need to keep in mind, like, oh, we have to maintain this. And so, I was laughing because this past year for COFECA, they have the annual parade every September, and it's in downtown LA. There's, and Joaquin, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been like close to like between 250,000 300,000 spectators participate in this parade. It's a huge parade. It's the biggest outside of the Mexican Independence Parade. It's one of the largest in LA County for the Central American community. And so last year, Panama was the host country, because every year there's a host country that leads the parade. And last year, Panama was the host country, and we had Panamanians come from New York, Seattle, Miami, Texas, Panama, that all came to support our group because they wanted to represent Panama well. And then, I remember like a couple of weeks later, I was going through Facebook and I started looking at all these pictures of, the different participants, and our girls kept popping up everywhere. I was like, the camera guys must have been in love with the girls, because I found a ton of pictures of our float, of our dancers. And every time I saw one, I would like steal it. I'm like, I'm taking this because it was just, again, that feeling of, oh my gosh, people see us. We're here. We're representing. We're doing what we set out to do. Mm-hmm. And the sense of pride that comes with that, like, it's almost like a drug, because now that I know that feeling, I don't want to let it go. It's like I want it to keep going. So
that's a great story.
And Joe said it perfectly, because our mission was to let people know we're here. Like, Panamanian culture is here in Los Angeles, and I think we've done that, and we're gonna continue to do that. It's just really cool.
All right, so let me just answer a couple more questions. So, what would you say was that moment you realized that, you know what, this is something special? You realized this is like, the performance was so good that you realize, okay, I'm giving people something special here. Did you have a moment like that when you were performing? You just felt that there was something special about what you were doing. What was like? It's like you have like a greatest moment type of thing, or a great like feeling. You was like, oh wow, I'm doing something special here. Have you
To
ever?
me, so personally, to me, it was the night of Sammy and Sandra, because it was just a whole bunch of Panamanians there. Like, the whole audience was pretty much from Panama. Panamanians here in LA, Panamanians from Panama. And when I saw the video, and actually, let me say that again. When we were finished, there were people crying. People were just in tears. People came and they were like, oh my God. Some people thought that we were from Panama, that we were professional dancers. And to me, it was like all the hard work that we put in, you know, you could see it. Like, people appreciate it. And to me, that was like, and I told them, you know what? We have become it in Los Angeles. Like, we put ourselves on the map, and we need to keep going, and it's just gonna get bigger. So for me, that night was like the biggest moment. Of course, there's been plenty, but that night in particular, because of the audience and how they reacted to our performance, and there were other groups that also performed. One of them, he came to me and he was like, "You guys are it. Like, you guys are it." And to me, it was just like, wow, we've done it. Because one of the things that Laura and I we always talk about is we're gonna represent our culture well. If we're gonna get on stage, it's because we are ready to dance, not just to, put in whatever and showcase whatever. Out of respect for what we do, and the Panamanians that are watching, we want to do our best. And to me, that night, it was just like the seal of approval. And it's like, let's just go. I don't know about Laura, but yeah, that was for me, my main, moment.
That was definitely one of our biggest nights, maybe. I agree, the biggest ones. the biggest one. And yeah, definitely having so many Panamanians, even people that came from Northern California, to see the performance of the musical group that was there. But we opened for them, and they were very pleased. People, like Joaquin said, from other groups we received a lot of compliments. And I would like to say also that a lot of the energy that we put into performing, or our success in a performance, has to do with the way we're received, where we have the audience start, singing or cheering, and that really gives us very good feedback. And at least in my own experience, it makes me do a much better job as a dancer. And I know that's common for any performance group, but that's a big thing that we have experienced.
Have you? Go ahead, Joyce.
I think for me, it was before that, in 2022, coming out of the pandemic, because the pandemic did stop us for a little bit. We have been picking up speed in 2019, and 2020 was, we were thinking, it's going to be the year that, and then the pandemic happened and we just came to a dead stop. And so in, was it 2022 or 2023? It was right after the pandemic, and we had a wedding in San Diego. Yeah. And we were like, ooh, wedding in San Diego. And it's a paid event, which makes it a little different because, when we're doing events for the community and we're not getting paid, if you make a mistake, maybe not that big of a deal. But when it's a wedding, when it's an event that you're getting paid for, like, you have to be on point. And we drove, caravan all the way to San Diego. We made sure everybody was on time. We looked good. And I remember seeing the girls look gorgeous. Like, they really just, it was a beautiful thing to see. And they stepped out onto the dance floor and they performed all 4 dances perfectly. Oh, I'm getting choked up. And I remember there was a moment where the crowd just exploded. And my heart did too. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, this is for us. This is for our group. And I thought, having come out of the pandemic, and we're just starting, and to get that kind of reception, it was like, I don't know, like, Sammy and Sandra was really good. That was like validation. But even if that would have never happened, I still believe that our group really was born that night. Like, we stepped out like professionals. Everybody was wow. They even paid us extra. They paid us extra for the performance. And I often look back at those dances because it was perfect. Like, there were no errors. Everybody did their best. The crowd was really engaged. Like, the whole thing was just magical. And we left there like we were on cloud 9. It was just, that to me is the moment where I thought, we made it. This is who we are. And so anything that's come after that, the Sammy Sandra was a really good event. And also last year when we led the parade for Cofeca, and to have all of those people come to support us, like, all of these Panamanians just came and said, how can we help you? What do we do? Like, again, that's just that validation. Like, okay, we're not just a folklore group, we're an organization that's representing Panamanian culture as a whole. And to have your own people come and support you and cheer you on and tell you that you're good. It's one thing when, you're telling each other, oh, you guys are great. But when you have not only members of your own community, but other communities who come up to you and they tell you, you guys are good, and they respect you, and they tell other people they're awesome, they're this, they're that, that's my heroine right there.
That was brilliant. I'm glad that you shared that with the audience. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys performed yet in Panama?
Not yet,
Not
but
yet.
that's cool.
Not yet.
Are you
But
guys
that's
looking
cool.
forward, or is there talk, or are you guys planning something for Panama? I mean,
So
go ahead.
one of the things that we talked about, we are ready to perform in other countries. That's something that we want to do. We're in the process of, getting all the information, and it is you do it through an organization that is an international folklorical group and all that. Um, I think that eventually, yes, we will, because there's a huge event called Las Mil Polleras, and it happens in, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, January, right? Every January, that's when it happens. Right. Okay. So we want to be part of that, and I think because of the connections and the network that we've built, more than likely we will be performing in Panama when we go there. So, but for that one, we were definitely going to be super ready because we're performing in Panama, where you have all these amazing groups. So there's gonna be a lot of anxiety, but we're gonna eventually do that too.
There's a lot of competition among folklorical groups in Panama, and people are very, very, very strict about the outfits and the performance, and so it can be a little bit intimidating, but we definitely that's one of the goals of our group.
Cool.
And Lana said, right, because especially for the girls, it's really hard for them to dance, because it's not just about the dress, it's the face, it's the way you move your arms, it's the smile. It's a lot for them. I think Panamanian women, when it comes to performing, they have more on their plate than us. Because we move and we do our step, but they have to portray this elegance that is like beyond this world. So it's a lot of pressure on them. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So I would like each of you to answer this question as we sort of come to the end towards of the interview. What would you want people to take away when they come to your performance? What do you want them to take away from seeing you guys dance? And we can start with you, Laura, and then we go down the line.
Yeah, for me, it would be well, one thing is how energetic our culture is, and the richness of our culture, the different ethnic groups, and even though Panama is such a small country, we have a lot, even in terms of the artistic expressions. And yeah, I think that's I enjoy it when people start to learn more about our culture, and we go to events and we see people that have seen us perform before, and they remember our outfits, and they say, oh yeah, I remember your headpieces, and why are you wearing different ones this time? And they remember. And yeah, that means a lot to me.
Yeah,
Okay,
so to me, it's kind of like the same thing, that I want people to not just to know that, the richness of it, but that we're passionate about it, that we love it, that we're proud to represent our culture and everything that, just not just the dances, but the attire. Like, one thing that with Kofeka again, we did in 2023, we had a parade of national dresses. And our girls definitely went all out. And that was an opportunity for me to learn about all of the different attire that we have and all the history behind the attire, but just to be able to just teach that to not only other people in other communities, but to teach it to our own people. I want people to think of PMPT not only as a folklore group, but also a cultural group that will teach, that will represent, that will just in everything that we do in terms of how we represent Panama. We're doing it with passion. We're doing it with integrity. We're taking the time to do the research and really show it at its core, at its most basic, and just being part of the group, even though I'm not a dancer. It there's so much more to the cultural aspect of a group, and I want people to see that, to feel it, to see and hear our name and think, oh, they're like legit representatives of Panamanian culture. So.
Joaquin?
So to me, all of this cannot be done without unity. And our group is extremely united. There is no one with the I want the spotlight on me. So when we perform, I want people to see that unity, that humbleness that the group has. And when they think of PNPT, a group that wants to unite other Panamanians and other cultures and work together towards the same thing, towards the same. Because at the end of the day, yes, we have people from El Salvador, from Panama, from Nicaragua, so forth and so on. But we're also under the Latino Caribbean umbrella. So
Mhm.
when we are proud of representing who we are and we're able to connect others and work towards the same thing under one umbrella, that's when wonderful things happen. And I think that's what I want for people to see and take away when they see us perform.
Cool, cool. All right, so this question is for you, Joyce. So if people wanted to find out more about the group and get in contact with the group, how would they go about doing that?
So they can probably the easiest way to be to reach out to us either via Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on Instagram is PNPT_org. That's the same way they can find us on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel. And we are also on Pinterest, trying to get us into other social media platforms. But to get a hold of us, probably the best way would be to do it through Instagram. And we'll answer messages there. We also have our email. If I can share that, it's panamampt@gmail.com. That's another way that they can get a hold of us. And I can send you information to post that you can share with the audience as well.
Yeah, great. I want to thank you guys for spending this time, talking about your love of dance and sharing that with my audience. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person because you're going to be performing at the 2025 Our Vision Caribbean and Latino Film Festival here in Los Angeles at the Dominguez Hill, Cal State Dominguez Hill. And I'm glad that I was able to talk to you guys. You shared a lot with me, and I'm more educated, a little bit more about the Panamanian culture. And I look forward to seeing you guys dance. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.